The fact that they think that security awareness is going to be enough to prevent it. Proactive is just not enough. We need to be more reactive. Just-in-time reaction measures need to be taken into account.
Welcome to We Give an F12, the podcast about IT, managed services, and cybersecurity that makes your business more productive and secure.
Now that you're in the business community helping us and helping many other MSPs protect regular, ordinary businesses, what do you find is the biggest misconception? What are business leaders getting wrong when they think about the security that they have or think they have?
I think there's a few things that we see, specifically down market. You'll get, well, I'm just a small manufacturer in town X, Y, and Z. No one's going to target me. That requires understanding how people are targeted. And the reality is, like, you have a concept for kind of upmarket large companies where we call it big game hunting, where whether it's nation states, for an espionage or disruption purpose, or criminal groups where the nation state line could be a little bit blurry, they will absolutely pick an org and go after it and go on LinkedIn, create a social network, map of the people they need to get to try and become domain admin, which is like really what almost every hacker tries to do. Down market, it's entirely not targeted because it would take way too much time to do that. And so the way it works is you have groups called initial access brokers. They're buying passwords on the dark web. They're scanning, your firewalls and everything else, looking for any unpatched things that can allow them to gain a foothold into that network. They'll try and scrape more creds, using things that will, every time you type a password in a browser, you can steal those. And then they'll sell them off to a ransomware gang. Then they will really move through your network. They'll steal your data. They'll end with an encryption. And then you get contacted and they say you have 3 days. Otherwise, all this confidential information, customer data, or what happens to healthcare a lot, they want to put PHI or EPHI data. And then they'll extort you on the data. And if you don't have a good, robust backup and recovery and incident response sort of operation or plan, they'll get you on the encryption side too. The reality is, all those ones are just automated. They're targets of opportunity. And so big misconception is it's not you, it's the equipment you're running and how fast you might have patched it that matters. Or if you clicked on a link and put your creds in. That's one misconception. The other big misconception is antivirus, which is kind of old school name, or current endpoint detection and response tools, which are still mostly malware focused platforms. I'm covered. I got a capability to handle it. I love the technology, but it's still missing over 50% of the time in our SOC, and so it's not enough. And then the third misconception: almost nobody is protecting the cloud side, which is the highest volume of attacks for on-premises, typical traditional laptops and desktops and servers. So I think it's those three things is what I see.
There's a view, I think that if it's AWS or if it's on the Microsoft cloud, like, it's all good. They've got us covered. I don't have to worry about it. Nothing could be further from the truth. When we think about, John brought up, antivirus and tools like SIMs, and we think about those sorts of things, Calvin. From an MSP perspective and the businesses that we work with, do you see an over-reliance on these tools? And what is the advice you have about how organizations could actually improve their security posture?
Yeah, I think the challenge is that there's a misinformation out there in terms of what is the thing that's going to save me in the market. And tools isn't enough. It's really about the education around what's required to have a robust cybersecurity posture for an organization, because it's not one thing. It's a collection of things working in concert to help protect not only your people, your data, whether it's suppliers. And, I always, Devin, I always say it starts with policy. Yeah. And policy isn't the meaning that you start with policy and the policy is what's going to save you, but it at least orients you to what's important in the organization. And I think, what John illustrated is all these gaps that we have. And to your earlier point around cloud vendors is they're just giving you a sandbox. What you do with that sandbox is really up to the service provider you're leaning into, or the IT team that sets it up for you. And so I think really what we have a gap in is that proactive monitoring, that continuous improvement to validate the security controls that organizations think they have in place, that they think are keeping them secure, and really validating that through a continuous validation of those controls. And some of the basic things that I see in small to medium businesses, like every day, is around weaknesses in their people, being able to just continually click on links, and the fact that they think that security awareness is going to be enough to prevent it. Proactive is just not enough. We need to be more reactive. Just-in-time reaction measures need to be taken into account. And then the other component is the basic hygiene practices. Just MFA in general, still not consumed. This is table stake. Only 33% of most organizations have MFA. Can you believe it? Or the fact that being able to patch vulnerabilities on systems. And so I think I think about the month of cybersecurity awareness, and when I zero in on it, we have so much more work to do in Canada. And if anything, I think MSPs in general in this nation are falling behind. They're not keeping pace with the changing landscape that we have. And so we have to elevate the game. We need to lean into better partnerships, expect more from the tools, but also educate the businesses on where those threats are and where are the best places to spend that dollar if you're going to spend it in cybersecurity. What's going to have the maximum amount of value back to that organization?
We Give an F12 is brought to you by F12.net. To learn more about how we can help your business, go to F12.net. We'll be back soon with another episode discussing the latest in the world of IT, managed services, and cybersecurity.